Welcome back to the Magnetic Marketing Podcast. In the last episode, we listened to Bill Glazer as he talked about the psychology of writing copy. Now, when we did that, we went through two specific tripping points. The first tripping point, feelings matter more than facts. And he goes into multiple bullet points on why that's important. And number two, he spent more time on this one, how preparation is as important as the assembly of the copy itself. That preparation is absolutely critical. In this episode, part 2, he's going to continue to talk about the importance of credibility. We're going to go into tripping point number 3. And then, as Bill Glazer always does, we're going to go on a side tangent that is epic. And that's going to be 11 shortcuts to applying more psychology in your copy to sell. So, tripping point number 3 and 11 unique shortcuts. So get ready for rapid fire at the end because it's going to be amazing. It's going to over-deliver, and you're going to wish you would pause this and save this episode and take notes. So it might be a good idea to get something out now so that way you don't miss anything. Let's listen in.
I don't think there's anybody that has had a bigger impact in the field of direct response than Dan Kennedy.
The legend of Dan Kennedy should be ignored at your own peril.
They're not really lessons, they're kind of laws that you live by.
Dan opened my eyes to what small business marketing looks like.
Dan teaches strategic direct response that is timeless.
His ripple effect touches people who don't even know his name.
The world as we know it was changed because Dan Kennedy became obsessed with marketing.
Welcome to the Magnetic Marketing Podcast with your host, Dan Kennedy.
This is all about the psychology of the copy. Now, when you do that, we actually come up with the next exercise. So, as I pointed out to you a moment ago, that coming up with the empathy story is to understand the feelings of your prospects is not enough. You've got to add to that the meat now, which in many cases goes back to the first page that I gave you. The building blocks of the copy must be there. The second piece has to also be there if you really want to take it to the next level. But also, this is what I give to clients when I work with them to fill out. So think of you all yourselves as your own client, or in the case of the copywriters in the room, think of these are things that you would give to a client. So this is my questionnaire that I give to them. What is there about the products or the company that lends credibility to people doing business with you? This could include things like awards that you won, how long you've been in business, civic involvement, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we're looking for the credibility issue, okay? The second thing is, how would you describe the products you are selling? So I need that copy also. So when we get to using Gail, when we look to the things that she was selling, we have to describe the things that she's selling. Number 3 is, what are the features about the products you sell? Don't leave anything out, put everything down. Most people don't understand features and benefits, so I always tell them feature is something that the product does or a characteristic of the product. So what is the characteristics of the product? Number 4 is, what relevant facts and figures have been gathered about your product? Have any studies been made that provide facts that will substantiate your claims? Is there an industry trade council that gives you meaningful facts, graphs, charts, and statistics about your product? So now let's go back on picking on Jim for a second, because Brad's getting a little pissy back there. So like number 4, I mean, Jim, there's tons of that stuff in your industry. Number 1, there's tons of that credibility stuff in your industry. Most industries got plenty of that, and most times when somebody is sitting down, I don't know if you do face-to-face selling too, I'm sure. When most people sit down and they do face-to-face selling, that's where they're going first. Now, you got to have that, so I'm telling you got to have that, but you can't just live off of that. If you want to make the sale a slam dunk sale, you got to go back to the feelings. Number 5 is, what are the major benefits of your product? Now, this is different than a feature. A benefit is something that the product does for the customer. So you have features and benefits. So you got to have that list. I give this to my clients to fill this stuff out for me. The next thing is, what major benefits do your customers get from doing business with you rather than doing business with your competition? You got to make that list. There has to be a reason for you for being. There has to be a reason for you for being. So it really comes down almost to the unique selling proposition question is, why should I choose to do business with you versus every other choice within your category? There has to be a reason for being. So I'm looking for that in writing my copy as well. Number 7 is, What are the reasons why your prospects would say or think for not buying your product? So again, this goes back to one of the exercises that I sort of gave you earlier on there, but what is the reasons why they would not buy your product? I will tell you that I never write a sales letter without that list. Because if they are thinking it and you're not addressing it, that is suicidal to your sales process. You got to bring up the conversation that's going on in their heads of reasons why they're not buying it. And you got to bring them all up. This now leaps back to the psychology of writing copy, is overcoming every reason why they would not buy it. Number 8, what types of guarantees do you offer? And Mike said it before. You know, he actually quoted me, so I'll requote myself. You know, if you can't guarantee something that you sell, find something else to sell. And you want to do that for 2 reasons. Reason number 1 is it makes the job of the sale infinitely easier. And number 2 is that it's just the right thing to do. It's just the right thing to do. So now let's go back and pick on my good friend Brad back there, okay? So Brad really should be going to everybody in that video and saying to them, I don't only tell you that when I come in and do my illusionist act that people will have a great experience, but I actually will guarantee it for you. And then at the end of the day, if you're not happy with me, I will cheerfully refund all your money. Now, most people are scared to death to do that. The truth of the matter is, Brad, when's the last time you did a show that people didn't love you? I mean, I can't believe that would happen. Most people are too scared to make a guarantee, but the truth of the matter is that, you know, if we do what we say we're going to do, and we actually offer good quality products and services, we don't have to worry about it. And the few times that somebody does take advantage of our guarantee is far, far outweighed by how many more sales we would have had we not had the guarantee. And in most businesses, people aren't guaranteeing this stuff. So when's the last time an illusionist guaranteed that if you're not delighted with my act, that I will actually give you back the money? Probably never, until he's now going to teach that in his info marketing system to all the illusionists. So now everybody will be doing that exact same thing. But the point that I'm trying to make to you is, when's the last, I mean, you know, you just, it makes it so much different that if you're looking for a reason for being, is I'm the only illusionist that will actually guarantee you total satisfaction of all the people that watch me. And that's now a reason for being. So you want to use that guarantee. By the way, I have never worked with a client yet that I could not come up with multiple guarantees for the business. Not a guarantee, but multiple guarantees for business. So let's think about some other guarantees that Brad could offer. Brad could offer the fact that I guarantee you that I will show up on time. Or else, if I show up, if I have to be there half an hour before the show, and if I show up more than 10 minutes late, I will actually give you back all your money. Guarantee that I'll be on there on time, okay? I guarantee you that I will have the sexiest helpers that I could ever have, which watching that video, convinced me, okay? So he can come up with a long, long guarantee of things he can guarantee. I have this one client of mine that I helped them with his guarantee. He built $2 million condo units in Florida, which today is worth about $37. But he built $2 million condo units in Florida. And he said to me, Bill, I can't guarantee the thing because somebody buys it, we now custom the whole interior for them. I said, that's fine. But can we guarantee the fact that you'll have it built within 3 months of the time that you said that it would be done by? He says, yeah, I can guarantee that. Can you guarantee the fact that if something breaks in the apartment for the first year that you'll fix it for free? Yeah, we do that anyway. We already guarantee that. Well, you've got to put that on your guarantee. Can you guarantee the fact that there'll be somebody at the front gate 24 hours, in the reception area 24 hours? Yeah, we can guarantee that. So we came up with a long, long list of guarantees that he can guarantee. He couldn't guarantee to give him back his money, but he was the only guy selling apartments in Florida for $2 million that had 21 things he would guarantee. You can see how that makes the job of the sale infinitely easier. So what type of guarantees do you offer? Number 9 is, what level of service and support do you offer? That's the other thing on my list. And number 10, finally, I want you to sell me your products as if I was sitting across the table from you. So now, how many of you do face-to-face selling? Hold your hands. Keep them up. Okay, keep them up high. Keep them up. How many of you keep your hands up if you're good at it? We got one honest person in the room, okay? One honest person in the room. Now, here's what's important. You guys all say you're good at it, and I believe you when you say that, because what's the difference? I'm going to go home afterwards anyway. So, whether it's true or not. So, you believe you're good at it. So, here's what I do. When I go to a client, and usually the client is not the person in the front line selling something. Actually, let me tell you a Dan Kennedy story. It's even a better illustration for this. Dan Kennedy was doing some work some years ago for Weight Watchers, and he was hired to do what's called beat the control. What beat the control is, which he now would never do, and I would never do, but back then, when copywriters were hungrier, you would come in and you would have a controlled sales letter, and then if you could get a better performance, you'd get paid. If you don't outperform the control, you don't make any money at all. Not a strategy that I like teaching and or implementing. But he did a beat control campaign up against a big Madison Avenue advertising agency who created the control. So what Dan said to Weight Watchers was this, is tell me who your best 4 salespeople are that are selling weight loss face-to-face. And they identified the best 4 people nationwide. He says, here's 4, back then it was tape recorders. Here's 4 tape recorders. I want them to sit across from their prospect and record the sales pitch for me. And he got back the recordings of the 4 sales pitches, had them transcribed. And out of that, he beat the control by figuring out what are the people actually saying when they're selling the products and services. That's a very, very smart strategy to use to figure out how to best sell these things, is find somebody who's really, really good at selling it and figure out what exactly they're saying, and then use that in everything that you do, either face-to-face or in your copy. So that is another thing that I always do in creating my sales letter. So you kind of see the process here of the psychology and beyond. This is not just about psychology now. The psychology is the example that I gave you from Cassandra, that Gail Carson, it was Cassandra, right? That Gail Carson wrote. There, I demonstrated for you how you really get empathetic with your customers. And hopefully you understand how that is now so valuable in this whole sales process because feelings matter more than facts. Then you got the 10 pieces here to help you to craft the facts. And then don't forget also is you've got the building blocks and the other thing that I have on the other page, which name now escapes me right now. I've only been teaching it for too many years. But this is also the building blocks for copy that sell, and then also what I call chief factors that contribute to boosting response rates, and then there's a long, long list of them. Now, I want to give you also on here psychological tipping point number 3. And this is the most overlooked psychological reason why people don't buy. Because here's the deal. You can do everything right that I just outlined for you. You can get so empathetic with your customer that they believe that Jim is speaking to me and Brad is speaking to me, okay? And Brad understands me and Jim understands me. Get great at that. You can put all the right copy factors in your copy. Great offer, great guarantee, great testimonials, great deadline, terrific headline, wonderful story, on and on, all the things you have. And still, you do this, and people don't buy from you. And it's like, hey, I did everything right. I mean, Glazer told me to do all these things. I should be getting 100% of them. But you're not going to get 100% of them. And the reason why is because of this. It's not because that they don't believe in you or what you're offering. It's because they don't believe in themselves. So people will often not buy from you because they just never believe in themselves. See, we're in the business at Glazer Kennedy in providing products, services, resources, training to other folks. We do it in marketing and money making, professional speaking, information marketing, sales, lots of categories that I can't even think of right now of teaching people how for marketing and money making improvement. Now, with the resources that we have, and we know they work because they're proven to work, not everybody buys them. And the reason why a lot of people don't buy them is not because they don't believe that what we have works, is they don't believe in themselves that they can actually make it work. A very, very big difference. So they won't read, listen, watch you all together. So the first thing is that when you now send them your messages, you could be doing everything correct, but they're not even going to even look at your messages. So if you're creating a great sales letter and using copy cosmetics and copy boosters and copy hoochkie coochkies and all that other copy stuff that you put in there, they may never even get to it because they don't want to actually look at it. By the way, I heard a little discussion about this while I was sitting in the back of the room. I'm not sure I heard it totally correctly, so I'll just give you my take on it. My take on envelopes is this, that if you want big, dumb, general rule on envelopes, and this is big, dumb, general rule, which I break rules, but this would be the big, dumb, general rule. If you're going to prospects who do not know you, then I think the blind approach is the best way to go. They don't know you. So use the Gary Halbert blind approach. If you're looking to prospects that know and trust you, so this goes back to relationship. If they have relationship with you, so then all of a sudden Steve sends me something and I know Steve and I trust Steve and I know Steve, then I want Steve to be on the outside of his envelope. And not only do I want Steve to be on the outside of his envelope, but if you're going to have the envelope, you might as well use the whole envelope front and back. So it depends on whether or not there's prospect or there's relationship with customers. That's my big dumb rule for that. So first of all, they won't read, listen, watch, anything altogether. They disqualify themselves. They see something and they say, gee, it would be great. So one of the things we teach people is how to be in the coaching consulting business. So they believe that, yeah, what Glazer and Kennedy have to teach me how to be in the coaching consulting business works. I mean, Steve walked up to me before and he said to me, Bill, something you told to me 3 years ago, I just put it into action and I doubled my prices. So the stuff that we teach them works, okay? But at the same time which Steve did not do this, but other people say, gee, I can't be a coach or consultant, so I'm disqualified. That's what they say to themselves. They disqualify themselves. And then the next thing is they discredit the offer or the seller. So then at that point, this builds back to relationship, it's more of the seller than the offer. They say, gee, if this guy is sending this to me, now, if Brad is sending me this offer, and I'm looking at Brad, and Brad looks like he's about 13 years old, okay? So what the hell is this young kid going to tell me about putting him on a reality TV show? You know, I just disqualify him right off the bat, okay? So we just sort of disqualify the seller. So there's no believability in who the seller is, which, by the way, he did a fabulous job in his videos overcoming that, by the way, with his videos. But people will look at that and they actually disqualify them. So a lot of people, for a handful of reasons, try and avoid placing themselves in situations they might actually buy something. So one of the biggest things, this is what we hear from Glazer Kennedy all the time. We hear two things. We hear, number one is, Bill, I can't wait to get your mailings because I can't wait to learn what you're doing by sending me offers because I want to look to see what you're doing to figure out how I can use that myself. And I know your stuff works so great that I want everything you got. Here's my credit card. I want everything you got. So that's one reaction we got. We got another reaction from Glazer Kennedy members. Bill, I get your letters in the mail. I won't open them up because I know you're going to do such a good job of convincing me, and if I buy this thing, my wife's going to kill me. So I won't even open up your letter. That's the other reaction we get. So they don't want to put themselves in a buying situation. They're afraid to put them. So you might do everything you can write on the envelope. You might have all the right copy koodles on the envelope that you could possibly have on that envelope to get people, but they're never going to open it up because they know if they get this thing from Mike Capuzzi, and if I open it up, he's going to convince me to actually spend my money to figure out how to make more money. So I'm not going to do that. So a lot of people do that. So like in retail, I came from retail. So in retail, for years, I was in retail it was 28 years. It was like a prison sentence, okay? And so customers would come into the store, and the sales associate would walk up to them, and they would say, hi, how can I help you? And the response 95 out of 100 times was, no thanks, I'm just looking. Now, I'm going to tell you a little secret about that. They didn't walk in the store they're just looking. There's a purpose for why they walked in that store. But they don't want to put themselves in a selling situation. So the response is, no thanks, I'm just looking. And that's why they're saying that. And that's not the truth. That wasn't the true reason why they would say that. They did have a reason for being there. And we actually trained our sales associates how to get past that hurdle. And that's the same thing that oftentimes you have to do in your copy. Okay. I'm going to wrap it up now. Oh, good. I'm going to wrap it up now with 11 shortcuts to applying more psychology in your copy to sell. Number one, it's an awareness and understanding that feelings matter more. Prospect focus versus product focus. If there's one big thing I want you to leave here in these 2 days with, is getting that. Is that prospect focus versus product focus. Prospect focus will outperform product focus. Number two is narrow the focus of the who you're writing to as much as possible. Figure out who your Sydney is, who your Cassandra is. Figure out who those people are so that you can narrow that focus to them. Number three is develop your checklist of emotional factors. Actually, I think, Mike, you actually give people a checklist for emotional factors. That's all in here. But you go back and reread the Cassandra letter, the 2-page letter. You will find in there 23 different emotional factors that she used in there, Gail did. 23 that she used in there. And that would, once you start developing those, you want to make that list. So why do you want to make that list? Because like Jim over here, once he writes his letter, he wants to use those exact same emotional factors when he's sitting across the table from somebody in their home or their office to sell his insurance. Same emotional factors. And the same thing when Brad, he's sitting in front of the producer for his reality TV show, he wants to use those same exact emotional factors in that. So it's not just using it in your copy, it's using it everywhere. So that's number three. Number four is swipe files. You want to create swipe files, raw materials from other people's ads or other people's direct mail campaigns, other people's marketing to the same prospect. So what you want to do is you want to figure out who else is marketing to my prospect and where can I actually, and create swipe files for them because they're real shortcuts. Like I said to you, the two areas that I do most of my copywriting in right now is to help people to actually fill their own seminars. So I got huge swipe files of marketing pieces for seminar filling up. The other thing I work with people is with information marketing business. I don't have swipe files, I got drawers of that stuff that I go to. So when I go in to create a new campaign for somebody, I'm not starting with a blank slate. I've got things that I can use to help me for shortcuts in getting that done as far as swipe files. Number five is personal selling experience. So if you go back to the example that I gave you for the Weight Watchers, and you would read the transcriptions of the 4 best salespeople they have, what you'll find is that they were using psychology in closing that sale. It wasn't about, if you take these 6 bars and you exercise for 4.5 hours a day, you'll lose 3 ounces. That wasn't the pitch. The pitch was, imagine how better you're going to feel after you fit into that skirt that's been in the back of your office, your closet now for 3 years that you never could get into before, that kind of thing. It was all about psychology. Here's something that's interesting about great copywriters. I'll tell you a commonality about great copywriters. Great copywriters had a selling job at some point in their life. I mean, I grew up in sales my entire life. But if you look at any of the greats, Gary Halbert, Ben Cervenka, Kennedy, Carlton, any great copywriter, and then the second tier, well, whatever tier they are, the lower tier people that are out there, the really good copywriters, they have had some kind of face-to-face selling at some point in their life when they were actually selling face-to-face. And that really helps you a lot in creating this whole psychology thing. Number 6 is use testimonials to deliver a psychological point you are making. Now, here's a new thing I'm going to tell you about. I got 5 minutes left to finish this up. So, when you read my book, how many of you have already read my book? God bless you. Who here doesn't have a copy of my book? The hell with you. So, teasing, easy. So when you read my book, you'll see in my book that I disclose the fact that there's two best ways to use testimonials. One of them, by the way, unfortunately, is about being taken away from us. The one way to use testimonials is what's called outcome testimonials. So I sat with Jim, and he, what kind of insurance do you sell again? Group health? Group health insurance. And I sat with Jim, group health insurance, and he saved my company $37,000 on our premiums this year. That's an outcome testimonial for Jim. Unfortunately, the FTC is now cracking down on those, and they're starting to take away the ability to use outcome testimonials. And you're going to find beginning December 1st, it's going to be harder and harder to use those things. The other kind of testimonial that people use is testimonials that overcome objections. So now if you go back to this whole issue of the testimonial of an objection, like, let's say I'm in weight loss. And now the objection that somebody, when they look at the weight loss ad, they say to themselves, you know what, right now I'm just busy. I mean, I've got to go, next month I've got to go to that seminar that Mike Capuzzi's putting on. So I don't have time to get involved in a weight loss program right now because I know he's going to have this nice little buffet out there to feed me, and I'm not going to be able to do this thing. So I'll wait till afterwards, okay? So the testimonial that would overcome the objection, which is the procrastination testimonial, which is, you often see it, you may never realize you see it, but it's often used. I use it a lot. So now you would have a testimonial that would say, you know what, I looked at this weight loss system 6 months ago, and I said to myself, you know, I was getting ready to go away to a seminar, so I should delay doing it. And now that I started 6 months later, I realized that I just wasted 6 months of my life because now I feel so great. So that's a testimonial that overcomes an objection. The third testimonial is this one, which very seldom it's taught and used. I use it. I don't teach it often. This is one of the first times I ever taught it. It's not in the book, which is the psychology testimonial. The psychology testimonial is this, is, you know, I went to Party City to get my daughter Sally her costume for Halloween. And the reason why I went there and didn't go to all those places that just pop up on all the corners is because at Party City, all their costumes have light reflective elements to it that when Sally is walking around in the dark, I can feel safe and secure that somebody won't come along and hit her as she's crossing the street. That is a psychology testimonial. Very powerful testimonial that you should be using in all your copywriting. So a shortcut is use psychology testimonials. Number 7 is look for places to start. So you want to look for great stories, great offers, great guarantees. So you want to think about that when you're actually looking to add psychology to your copy. Number 8 is use the follow me strategy. So most people don't do this, but you want to look at where are other people that are in your industry also marketing to people that you want to sell to. Now, they don't have to be the exact thing that you're selling. So in Jim's case over there, who is normally the decision maker that gets you the first appointment in the...
Either the managing partner or the office.
Okay, so it's either the managing partner or the office manager. Now, who else is marketing? I don't want you to answer the question. This is a rhetorical question. Who else is marketing to the managing partner or office manager of that business? That's what Jim wants to start looking at, is who else is marketing to them. And if he can figure out who else is marketing to them, he wants to say to himself, how are they marketing to them? Let me follow what they're doing. So maybe it's direct mail, maybe it's ads in the local business magazine, maybe it's billboards, whatever it is, it's do the follow me strategy. Now with the follow me strategy, one of the things you've got to be careful of is a lot of times people out there don't know what we know and they're stupid and they'll do marketing that's not working. So when I do the follow me strategy, I want to see if they've been doing it for month after month after month after month. They usually are not that stupid that they'll continue to waste their money month after month after month after month. So if you see that they've done it for like 6 months in a row, then it's like a good thing to be saying to themselves, gee, if they're successful with that, then I should be trying that. Number 9 is emotional urgency. Most people only use mechanical, date, bonus, etc. applications. So most urgency, which you would also refer to as deadlines, most people are only using that from like, here you have to do this by this date, or you have to get this bonus by I have so many of these bonuses to the first 11 people that respond, that kind of thing. And so what you actually want to do is emotional urgencies. So an emotional urgency is, for example, could be something along the lines is, what's today's date? October 23rd? 22nd, right? So Halloween is October 31st. So how many days are we away from this thing? So now this would be, whatever it is, let's say it's 9 days. So with 9 days away, so this is an emotional urgency with the fact that, in order to make sure that your child can really get one of these reflective costumes to keep them safe and secure, that you've got to make sure that you get there in plenty of time, because every year they always sell out, far in advance. But again, this is all about safe and secure. This is an emergency, emotional urgency, not about dates so much, although I kind of worked it in there as well. And then number 10 is ask prospects to make a simple choice. Now, this is another thing which most people make this mistake in their advertising and marketing, which is they're asking people to make too many choices. If you can get them to make one choice, you're best. If you can get them to make no more than 2 choices, that's it. You should never have anybody give them more than 2 choices to make. And one choice is the best choice to actually make. So this is all about keeping it very simple. A lot of times people, they do everything right, and then they get to these convoluted offers where you can do this over here and this over here, then you can do this over there, and it's actually very, very confusing to people. So you want to try to keep it as simple as you possibly can. Usually we find that if you're going to give people multiple options, the best place to do that is in a face-to-face environment or from the front of the room environment. But if it's in direct mail or on the web, you want to keep giving them as simple choices as you possibly can actually get them to make. And then number 11 is the number one copywriting kryptonite is being boring, which actually moves, it's a great segue right back into Mike's part about using copy boosters to actually make sure that it's not boring. Robert, our No BS copywriter, he'll tell you that when he interviewed for the job, what we did is a call out to our members to have people respond they want to be our copywriter. I gave them all the same task to do, which was write a sales letter for the same product. And so Robert sent in his sales letter, and he sent it in, and I met with him face to face. Do you mind me telling the story? What the hell with it? I'm telling it anyway. So I met with him face to face, okay? And we sat around the table with each other. I said, Robert, I read your sales letter, and it's not a bad sales letter. Problem is, it looks boring, is what I told him. And so that's when we all got the copy cosmetics and all these other things. And now if you look at his work, which I think you submitted some of your work here, right? You'll see that his work doesn't have that boring look at all. So here's a couple of resources for you that you should be thinking about in order to be successful in writing your copy. Number one is there's 2 books out there by Richard Bayan that I use all the time. I think, Robert, you use them all the time too. One's Words That Sell and More Words That Sell. You get those books. They're available at Amazon.com. I don't know how much they are. They're like $12 a piece, $15 a piece. Everybody should have that in their arsenal. Uncensored Sales Strategies. This is a book that's actually written by a former madam, Sidney Bill Bowers and Dan Kennedy. The reason why I recommend that book for you as a resource is because it takes you through what's called sales choreography, of how you got to think about walking people through a process of selling. The next one is the No BS Marketing to the Affluent book. So if you're looking to sell to the affluent, if you're not looking to sell to the affluent, don't get the book. If you're looking to sell to the affluent, then how you talk to the affluent is different than you talk to other prospects. And in that book, Dan does a great way of sort of figuring that out for you. How he actually micro dissects it into the different ways that people are affluent. So there's the affluent, the mass affluent, there's affluent females, affluent males, there's affluent gays, there's affluent everything. He breaks it all down for you. The next one is my book, Outrageous Advertising, It's Outrageously Successful, which I conveniently brought 7 copies with me. And if anybody wants to get a copy of the book afterwards, see me in the back, and I will be, out of the goodness of my heart, sell you a copy of my book. And I also have my blue pen with me, and I'll sign it for you. And this 1995 book, once it's signed with my signature, is worth $20. So we'll also get that for you signed. So that would be very valuable for you.
Thank you for listening to the Magnetic Marketing Podcast with Dan Kennedy. If you love hearing in on these lost Dan Kennedy talks and speeches and calls, then please let someone else know about this podcast. That's how you can help it to grow. And the more it grows, the more free Dan Kennedy we can bring to you. Also, Dan would love to give you the most incredible free gift ever, designed to help you make maximum money in minimum time. Now, this free gift comes with almost $20,000 in pure money-making information for free just for saying maybe. You can get this gift from Dan right now at nobsletter.com. Not only will you get the $20,000 gift, you're also going to get a subscription to 2 marketing newsletters that will be hand-delivered by the mailman to your mailbox each and every month. One from Dan Kennedy and one from me, Russell Brunson. To get this gift and your subscription, go to nobsletter.com right now.